This is a Pacific walrus. This is a lot of Pacific walruses. It's called a haul-out, an onshore rest stop for large groups of these massive animals. In recent years, these haul-outs are becoming an increasingly common sight in places where they haven't been seen in the past. It's a problem. Here's why. This is where Pacific walruses live. Every spring, hundreds of thousands of them travel from their winter habitat in the Bering Sea through the Bering Strait to the Chukchi Sea, where they feed on clams and other animals on the shallow seafloor. In between those feeding bouts, they need to rest on floating sea ice. That sea ice, there's less of it these days. This is the extent in September of 1990. September is consistently the month with the least ice. And this is a map of known walrus haul-outs here throughout the 1990s. Some are small, just a few dozen walruses. Many more are much bigger, with thousands or tens of thousands of animals. This isn't a comprehensive map. Walruses are mysterious animals, and the way they congregate shifts a lot depending on the season and the year. And this is a remote place. There's been no consistent gathering of data on the animals here. But thanks to a database of reports compiled by researchers this summer, we know more about their whereabouts over the years than we ever have. Now watch the extent of the late summer ice throughout the rest of the 90s. Note that there's just a handful of tiny haul-outs up in northern Alaska. Now the 2000s. A shift is underway. There are many more haul-outs on Alaska's Chukchi coastline. They're bigger. This decade was the first time this part of the Arctic saw summers with almost no sea ice, in 2007 and again in 2008. Here are the recorded haul-outs so far this decade. The number of big haul-outs of more than 10,000 walruses has increased all along the Chukchi Sea coast. For the first time in decades, we see one that big in Alaska's far north. The years with the most summer sea ice in this decade have about as much as the years with the least in the 1990s. And here's why this matters for the walrus. When they're forced to haul out on land in large numbers instead of on sea ice, it can be deadly. They're exposed to more pollution hazards near shore. People are using the Arctic more too, which means these massive groups of walruses are more likely to be disturbed by human activity. That can cause stampedes, which leads to large numbers of animals, especially young, being crushed to death. As the planet warms, we're seeing rapid changes in the Arctic. Whether the animals that live here can adapt remains to be seen.